you can do it, right? You're going to learn along the way. You got to get it done. I've talked to people in the real estate business that have been training for years and going to seminars and say, how many properties do you have? Oh, I haven't gotten one yet. And, and so it's a shame when I hear those things, so it's really, you just got to make the move.
Welcome, everyone, to the Road Less Traveled Show. This is a show about people that were successful in a previous career and left that career to go down a different path. I'm your host, Richard Coyne. On today's show, we have Adam Lendi and Justin Hoggatt. So, gentlemen, welcome. We're glad you're here.
Thanks for having us on.
Great to see you.
Absolutely. So thanks again for doing this. So if you can kind of begin a little bit, if you would just sort of, each of it talk a little bit about your past, your background, what you used to do in your kind of your former lives and, sort of how that brought you to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll jump in first. My background certainly was not a linear path to get here. Started my adult life in commercial construction, ventured from there into law enforcement for a decade as a patrol officer and a canine handler. Got out of that to get into, to pursue real estate a little further. I'd been building a single family portfolio when I was in law enforcement and came out to be a broker and ultimately a business coach. And then crossed paths with Justin and, we formed this company, which I can go into a little more detail, but I'll let Justin give his background first.
Sure.
Okay, sure. So after college, I dabbled in a few things, came out with transportation degree and really tried to be an entrepreneur right away. Certainly wasn't ready at the time. Then went around the country, went to Hawaii, came back to Missouri, ultimately end up in the AV industry, home audio video. And went into the project management side and then realized that real estate was my path. It kind of ran in the family blood and then figured out how to make the transition to rental properties and now the campground business.
Okay. So tell me about that. What's the campground business that you guys both do together?
Well, I think the simplest way to put it is, we're a capital group. We raise for our campgrounds we buy, but we also are an operator as well too. So, we sponsor deals and then we own our management company that oversees the properties.
Okay.
It's kind of something that we hatched on a houseboat a few years back, and kind of kicked the idea off. Understanding we want to manage our own properties from the beginning and not outsource that to somebody else, but also taking a dive into capital raising, which is something we'd never done before. We both had good real estate acquisitions experience, but we're new to that. So it's something that we've certainly learned, probably taken the harder road to get there in some ways. And, I definitely learned a lot of lessons along the way, but now we've got a great team and things are moving in the right direction.
Excellent.
Part of that's coming up with, I spent a year on the road, realized that I loved camping even more, realized it was a great business to be in and didn't move on it right away, but just wanted an asset that we could use. I've been in the homes and multifamily space, and it's just, it's for everyone else. And I couldn't use it. So I really like the idea of something that we could create a network of properties and travel between the properties and have a good time, especially in the summers as a family.
Okay, nice. So what's the name of your business?
Well, we just recently rebranded everything under one name. So Beyonder Holdings is the name of our company that actually holds and acquires properties. We started as Beyonder Camp as our management company. It's actually our flag. If you want to equate it to like a KOA or something like that, that's the name that's on all of our campgrounds. They're Beyonder Campgrounds. We started off as Happy Camper Capital, and frankly, I just got tired of explaining the difference between the two companies, everybody. So I wanted to put it under one branding.
Okay, gotcha. So where do you have campgrounds, and what's the count, I guess, of spaces or whatever?
We have 5 campgrounds. I should know this number off the top of my head. I want to say we're north of 750 RV sites, 285 marina slips, 72 motel rooms. We're expanding on all those properties right now. Most of them have extra acreage or extra opportunity to expand. We've done a really good job of buying up the Midwest, and now we're moving south. Our first campground was in Iowa. Our second was in Indiana. Third was a marina campground in Missouri. Fourth was back in Iowa again for another one. And then we just closed our 5th, which was our first into our fund in December in Louisiana.
Okay, nice. So are there sites that you could just put a tent on, or are they obviously really all intended to be RVs?
We have tent sites at our campgrounds. We're primarily RV.
Okay, got it.
More specifically than that, we're transient RV focused. So people who stay less than 30 days.
Right. Yeah, we've got in my area, we've got some campgrounds, but a lot of them have signs that say, minimum stays, 3 months, 6 months. I'm like, really? Isn't that kind of the defeat the point that if you have an RV, you want to go places? So, it seems like that's too long.
It's a different model. We know other operators in that space who are doing quite well with it on the month-to-month model. It's more like multifamily or mobile home.
Right.
We see the torque opportunity in being able to ramp up the revenue by focusing on nightly rates. We can make more on a nightly site if we do it right.
Okay.
Threefold sometimes.
Gotcha. And again, it's your own management company, so you guys control the flow, and that somebody's not going to be just, oh, nobody's in that space. I can pocket that cash that they just paid me with. So
Not to say that couldn't happen. We put a structure in place with our managers to help incentivize them to grow the revenue.
Right. Well, okay. That's alignment of interest. So that certainly, again, hopefully prevents, theft, but, obviously, it sounds like you obviously have a good team as well that you trust for the folks that are on site as well. So good.
Right.
Okay. All right. Very nice. So, as you think back to your perhaps your transportation days, Justin or Adam, as maybe, I don't know, law enforcement or real estate, whatever, is there a funny story you guys can share, something from your past?
Well, I mean, I kind of like what I said in the entrepreneur days. I decided to partner with the guy and make turbocharger kits. Kind of an unknown fact about me, mostly. But I made them for the Cavalier. Was one of the first in the business. I wouldn't say that's necessarily funny, but kind of just shows a little bit of the path. And then went into the transportation brokerage. And it might show my age a little bit, but is a phone, fax, and a computer just sitting there and staring at a screen, waiting for paper to come through or whatever, and it's just, it wasn't really something that I really wanted to be involved with, and so that's where the outdoors came into play a little bit, traveling and going into rich people's homes a little bit later for the home audio video.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah. What about you, Adam? Anything?
As far as a specific funny story goes, I don't know that I have one. I just think, more back to when I was getting into law enforcement in my mid-20s. And like I said, it's a young man's game. It's definitely, I got in for the adrenaline rush, the ticket to the, most exciting show on earth. But, just never thought I'd be in a, doing, what I would call like a corporate or stuffy job at the time. And, heck, being a canine handler, we get to do some of the most, exciting stuff out there, chasing bad guys with guns and, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And then, to be less than a year, or actually about 1 year after I got off of the canine unit, being in real estate and then in this world, I never would have seen it coming. So,
Yeah. So, what was the dog that you had when you were in the canine unit?
I handled a German Shepherd. My favorite breed. The Belgian Malinois are pretty popular nowadays, but it's like trying to handle a chainsaw. They're crazy and lots of sharp, pokey bits. The German Shepherds are a little more level and even keel.
Yeah. My son has a Malinois, and it's a puppy, and right now it's away at 3-week doggy camps to get trained up. So it isn't such a wild thing. So
tell them not to buy any nice furniture for a while.
Yeah, exactly. So. Good deal. So, as you guys kind of look at, your past, what was maybe a deciding factor that's, led you to real estate, led you to this camp kind of thing? Justin, I guess you mentioned that you just love the outdoors. You loved camping. You camped around for a year. So was that kind of the thing? Let me figure out how to make this a career kind of thing. Was it sort of like that, or? Well,
a little bit before that, I was just, I guess I really was tired of reporting every day, the 8 to 5 job. I've always wanted to work on my own, be my own boss, but more importantly, I felt that I was capped, and I don't like the feeling of being capped. You end up at a top salary and you go, what's next? I wasn't in a sales position, so I wasn't motivated by anything. I wasn't getting the bonuses that I might have thought I should, we all deserve, but I decided, I got to make the change. So I started kind of moonlighting with the real estate side and doing renovations. Maybe kind of going back to the maybe semi-funny stories is just, at 10 p.m., my wife and I are remodeling homes, and we're putting our kids' onto painter's plastic up in the upstairs bedroom, because we needed to keep going, and we would quit at midnight, go back, wash, rinse, repeat, so just really building up a portfolio that could manage our way out of the typical 8 to 5. Yes, we went on the road. That was kind of our break. We managed our properties on the road, and then we just really decided when COVID, I think, was really the catalyst to make that change out of the residential space into the campground space. Let's try to make it fun.
Right. Nice. Yeah. What about you, Adam? Anything you want to mention?
Yeah, and I'll just share a little bit about just kind of where it pivoted for me. In law enforcement, it's like military guys. The cops are terrible with money. You get paid pretty decently, and they usually put you on a step program, and you get a raise every year. And typically what most guys do is every year they buy a bigger truck. One year, the next year they buy a bigger house, and they just keep upping those things, and they never have any money. They're all working extra duty all the time to just barely scrape by. I was no exception to that. Until 2014 is when kind of it really pivoted for me. I just saw a real estate investing seminar being held one night. It's held by a loan broker who ended up, when I became a realtor, she handled all my clients, but she was the one who opened me up to the idea of, basically property laddering my way into a single family portfolio. And that's when it really clicked for me. I was beholden to a pension that who knew if it was actually going to, produce anything, and, terrible spending habits started building, actually seeing my net worth go up, seeing, having passive income, semi-passive income come in. That was the big change. Then of course, when I met Justin, obviously seeing somebody who was a few steps ahead of me in the game, that was a big shift for me, realizing that the pace I was going wasn't going to get me there soon enough. Yeah. Certainly getting into this asset class has rapidly accelerated where we were headed. So, that was the big shift for me.
That's great. But I tell you what, it's not limited to law enforcement. It's not limited to military. I mean, we've actually had a number of military and former law enforcement on this show that have actually kind of made that mental shift. So my point there is that I think, honestly, it's really, it doesn't matter what you're doing. There are going to be, myself included. I was the busy professional. I put my kids through private school because it was the right thing to do for our family. But did I really kind of plan ahead for that retirement side of things? Not very well. So, I kind of made that shift. And I'm like, as my kids were literally in college, I'm like, okay, I've been so focused on this that I've neglected that. And I got to really focus on my retirement, my wife's and I retirement. So, kind of made that shift. And we've been able to pick up some speed, but, there's a lot of folks that it's something we try to kind of, bring out in this show is in our conversations with people. And that is that, look, you got a job, fine, great, keep doing it, but at the same point in time, think ahead, create another real estate, create another income stream. It doesn't have to be real estate. It could be real estate, but just do something besides just relying upon, a job from a corporate employer or whatever that's really, subject to the whims of the market, so good for you guys. Yeah. So, okay. So as you were kind of really driving toward creating your network of campgrounds beyond what's it called? Beyond camping. Is that right?
Beyond camp. Yeah.
Yeah. Beyond camp. So as you were kind of driving toward this, were there initially some obstacles as you started, moving in that direction?
No, it was all smooth sailing from day one. We've never hit a hiccup or hurdle of any kind. Yeah, just all sunshine and rainbows.
Everything.
No, I mean, the biggest challenge started right when we first got into this. So this whole idea was hatched, like I kind of inferred at the beginning, on a house, but our families were on a trip together. Justin pitched the idea. He'd been looking at it before. By the time we got back on land, we were already researching it. The trouble was this. Specifically transient campgrounds, there are not any mainstream resources. There were nothing to learn how to do it. There, Frank and Dave, the mobile home guys, they had a course on buying RV parks, but theirs were more like buying a mobile home park that people park RVs on, right? So, so we had to really, we used their resource because it was the closest relevant thing we had. But we had a lot of stumbling blocks along the way. We had to create a lot of our own underwriting processes. We had to learn how to raise capital. That was kind of the funny thing, really. It really started with us going, hey, we're going to buy like 3 to 5 campgrounds just between our families. That'll be it. We'll control them. And then I think the conversation was something like, well, how do we buy 100? And okay, well, we're going to have to, what's syndication? Like, Googling this first and then getting all the books and resources and, learning how to raise capital and not go to jail for it. So, it's been a lot of things. I mean, we've been smacked down with some hard lessons on some acquisitions that we had to walk away from because we either bit off more than we can chew, or, our processes weren't set up right at the beginning. It's been, our road has been laden with landmines.
Yeah.
Mostly the learning processes. Yes.
Yeah. Another common theme. I mean, again, believe me, everybody, best intentions, you're going to make mistakes along the way. But the thing we've always kind of viewed this situation is that, look, you're going to learn more by doing than you're ever going to learn from reading a book, than you're ever going to learn from talking to a mentor. And again, hopefully you'll be able to shortcut some of those hard lessons, with the education side of things and with some mentorship. But at some point in time, you got to be in it. You got to just jump in and start doing things. And again, like you said, you're going to make mistakes along the way, but they're generally recoverable from, right? So, keep on trucking and move forward, right? So
always, right. Yeah.
Good deal. So what would you guys point to as really your first victory, as you kind of really started saying, okay, this is it. What was the first victory as you moved in this direction?
Man, I don't know. I could probably just go back to our naming. I mean, we spent so much time between our families and just saying, man, what's a good name? What's going to stand out? What's going to be our brand? I think we put so much focus on our future and knowing that what we pick now is going to have to be for later. So for me, it's really just creating the foundation. Obviously it's always a big deal when you close your first property, but some people don't maybe know what it takes to get to that, and we went through a couple that, we went up to Michigan, for example, and had to bust a deal out because it just didn't work out with the sellers. And, the road is bumpy, but it's just the little things sometimes.
Yeah. And I would say too, not to say that we got stuck on the naming principle for too long, but I think the biggest victory it felt like for me was making those first offers. At that point, by the time we made our first offers, we were 4 or 5 months into this, and it was exciting to actually start seeing, putting, the stuff we were learning into action, and taking, an industry we already knew, but adapting it to a totally new asset class.
Right. Yeah. We, in our case, we started when Bill and I decided to partner together. We started making offers right away, but at the same point in time, there was still a lot we didn't know, and it took us a while to get our first deal. But again, we're buying 100+ unit apartment buildings, so you don't exactly go, let's go ahead and snap one of those out today, kind of things. Yeah, it takes a while to get there. So got it. Yep. All right, so maybe in your new ventures, is there a funny story you can share, something that's happened to you recently?
It's a good question. I can't share a specific funny story, except that, it's people are our biggest challenge, right? We're dealing with so many people on so many different fronts. We've got guests in the campgrounds by the thousands. We've got employees, to the tune of, in the off season, 40 to 45 or so to about 75 in the peak season in the summer, because it's a seasonal business. The people challenges, the personality things you get. I think that's just, it always keeps you on your toes. You never know what you're going to get. Personnel issue, guest issues, just dealing with other partners in the business, other capital partners and contractors along the way. So I can't point to a specific one, but I can just say that we're never a dull moment.
Yeah. Sometimes you have campground employees that, they're always looking for additional help, especially from corporate, but I don't know, just some things that just I find funny is like, if you would have just looked at this tractor, for example, we had hydraulics that were out. Basically, all they had to do is be hooked up. Sometimes it's little things are mind blowing, but
Yeah.
So what you mentioned something that was curious to me. You mentioned going from an off season of maybe 45 employees to a peak of 75. What explains the difference in terms of the ramp up, and what is that about?
Yeah. So again, we're transient campgrounds. Obviously we've got seasonalities for different parts of the country. Even in the Sun Belt, there's seasonality, right? Those are it's popular in the South from say November to April. You get further north, that peak season becomes April to October, through October about. So we have different loads of user bases, and a lot of these campgrounds, and this is one of the things we love about it, is a lot of these campgrounds, especially in the north, mom and pops, they're tired. They work 70, 80-hour weeks during the peak season. They're ready just to quit in the wintertime. Some of them did. We had 2 that we bought last year that both of them would snowbird to Arizona. So they had never been open in the wintertime. Well, that's a huge revenue opportunity for us to figure out how to keep them open in those longer seasons. But so they would typically lay off their entire staff at the end of the year. They'd winterize the whole thing, walk away. Right. Now we're keeping some staff on, essential staff, a manager, maintenance person, maybe a housekeeper in some cases. Okay. And, just really scaling it back, but keeping the business open, keeping the lights on. It helps us keep the manager employed, so we're not finding new managers every year. So, so a lot of benefit comes from that. But there's a big swing in seasonality. So, I'll give you one example. We've got our smallest campground right now is running with 2 guys in the wintertime, but it's about to quadruple that staffing in the next 2 months.
Gotcha. Okay. So the marina you mentioned, is that where you literally have, boats pull up to gas up on site? So you need not only people for the sites, but you also need to have people out there attending the gas?
That is our most heavily staffed property.
Gotcha. So it's for that reason, I bet. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's a multifaceted business, that one. It's on Truman Lake, which is the same exact size and just west of Lake of the Ozarks, 55,000 acre lake. We've got a 285 about to become a 200 or 330 slip marina, 100 RV site campground that's about to become 136 sites, and a 40 room motels, marina stores, restaurants. It's a resort property. So there are a lot of moving parts to that one. Yeah, that one will be about 20 plus people in the peak season.
Okay. It's not called the Blue Cat, is it, from Ozark?
It's not, but don't, if you stay in a motel, don't touch the walls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Don't mess with the walls. Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
So, very cool. Good deal. So where are you guys today on your journey? Where do you see the future going for you?
Well, a lot of like what Adam mentioned, we're growing our team. So people. That's the most important asset of any company, I think. And so right now we're really focused on finding the right team members in conjunction with making sure that we're getting under contract and purchasing more properties. We have 8 that we want to close this year on our path to 100. So we've got pretty lofty goals, and making sure that we're also increasing the acquisition size versus some of our original ones were, I would say, minimal, quite small, but we're on our way up.
Right.
And like Justin mentioned, I mean, obviously that we started this, he and I wearing all the hats, doing everything, and it certainly obviously pulls you away from things you should be doing or could be doing. And as we hire people, we hand them each a stack of hats. Unfortunately, some of them end up wearing a lot of hats and have a lot of responsibilities. So we're working on specializing everybody as best we can. But obviously, some of that comes with the pain of paying all those people. So we're actually currently doing a round of seed raising to get some money into the company to actually boost our operations so that we can really accelerate that goal path over the next couple of years.
Nice. Very well. Good deal. So is there anything that you, as a company, perhaps through your current company or beyond a group or camp, or perhaps personally, that you can talk about that you do to give back to others, to help others?
Well, we do donate a little bit of our, to local organizations. We try to be local as much as we can with our campgrounds. Some of that is through auctions and whatnot. We give away campsites. Giving away campsites, the transient, for a weekend or something like that. It doesn't really cost us a whole lot to give those away and provide opportunity for others. Personally, I take part in different organizations. I was a part of my HOA. I'm on the swim team board. We're paragliders, which is how we actually met. And then, given back by some tutoring and mentoring for the local sites. So just trying to stay as active as we can, all around.
Good. Nice. Okay, good deal. So is there something you guys have recently implemented in your business? You talked about, again, staffing is so important. You're trying to build your staffing team. Is there anything you can mention that you're, that's really going to help you guys scale?
I think the biggest game changer for us was actually getting intentional. I mentioned I had a background as a business coach, and like a lot of professionals, I wasn't always practicing everything I preached to others, and I was kind of like the cobbler whose kids have no shoes. Seeing that in our own business. But we implemented EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, in our business last year. If you're not familiar with that, the book Traction by Gino Wickman outlines it. And, really got intentional about holding weekly L10 meetings with our teams, setting our rocks, focusing on this properly. And, we implemented last June. We did our first real business planning with it at the end of last year. And the traction I've seen us get in just the past, 9 months we've been doing it has been monumental. So just being systematized, being regimented, it's really helped improve our culture and productivity.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Again, a number of our guests have mentioned implementing EOS as part of their growth strategy. And again, formalization. And again, that's something that has to happen as you grow. You got to have some formality to things and some structure. Otherwise, it's just, you're going to run yourself into the ground. So very nice. Good deal. Good deal. What advice would you guys give to somebody who's considering making a path change?
Take action.
Yeah.
Just default to action. Don't wait. It took me 4 years from when I started my journey in real estate before I finally jumped off, and I was too scared to get started. I was getting ready to get ready. And now I'm more the ready, fire, aim guy. So I'm a little more the other way, but just don't wait.
I think there's, you can do it, right? The learning process, kind of like we talked about, is you're going to learn along the way. You just got to get it done. You got to do it. I've talked to people in the real estate business that have been training for years and going to seminars. And, there was one lady that once told me she had spent and invested, I'm doing air quotes, invested $80,000 into her education. So how many properties do you have? She said, "Oh, I haven't gotten one yet." And, and so it's a shame when I hear those things, so it's really, you just got to make the move. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
You do what you love, right? I mean, we all say that, it's kind of cliche, but that's why I made my way into the campgrounds because I do love the campground. I love the space. I love the people. People are out there to have fun and enjoy themselves. It's just a different environment. So being surrounded by that's great. Nice.
Yeah. We've run across people from some of our monthly groups that we run. And, I've seen that more than once where we've got people that attend and they learn. And again, I love learning as well, but at some point in time, you gotta put that into action. Otherwise you're going to wind up dropping $100,000 on, and not have anything to show for it other than you're smarter. Well, again, you learn by doing as well. And I'm not saying you jump into something blindly without proper education, without a proper ground set, right? But you got to do something with that education. So
I'm going to blame our traditional education system too for a lot of that as well. I mean, I know being brought up, I had the block that, that risk was bad. The taking risk was a bad thing. And that, you had to have a full business plan before you launch into any venture. And, reality says we just need to just start doing things. As I always like to say, build the airplane while it's in the air.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I love a lot of that breaking of the kind of traditional mindset, comes from Kiyosaki. And I'm sure others have talked about before Kiyosaki, but at some point in time, he's so right that, we're afraid to make mistakes. We get taught through a traditional education system that making a mistake is wrong. And it's the A students that you got to be an A student to get the good job and, the good, high paying, whatever, steady career and, safe, secure kind of stuff. So, well, that's not for everybody. Again, not saying there's anything wrong with it, but like we said earlier, I believe strongly in the fact that you need to have that second income stream. So, create something on the side, but at the same point in time, again, we are taught that mistakes are bad. And that's, you learn more from making a mistake than you would ever learn from just the book knowledge. And, and again, Kiyosaki goes on to talk about, that's why a lot of, he has a book called why, what's the title? It's something to the effect of why A students work for C students and why B students work for the government, right? The people that are not afraid to make mistakes and break the rules and maybe aren't the best academic student often are the people that are wildly successful in their careers. So, because they're not afraid to make mistakes. They're not afraid to take chances. So well done, guys. Good stuff. Very cool. So what's the best way to reach out to you guys if somebody wants to find out what you're up to?
Best way to find us is, either through social media, looking up Beyonder Holdings, for more our acquisitions focus and capital raising side, or Beyonder Camp if somebody wants to check out our properties. BeyonderCamp.com, BEYONDER camp. Best way to find us. And then, of course, we can be reached through the social media channels.
Okay, great. I'll put notes to that in the show notes. And, we'll certainly want to thank you guys for being on today.
We appreciate it, Richard.
Thanks,
you.
Richard.
Absolutely. So again, thanks again for being on. We also want to thank our listeners. Please continue to give us a 5-star rating so we can bring you more great content like our show today with Adam and Justin. So thank you again, guys, for being on. And then finally, we'd like to remind everybody that Park Capital Partners has a couple important things going on. First of all, that is we have the Park Capital Partners Fund, which is a value-add fund, 506C, open today to accredited investors. And next, we have the Park Capital Partners Foundation. That is a 501c3 nonprofit that Bill and I created to give back. And the way that works quickly is that, first of all, Park Capital Partners, we want all the money donated to that fund to go to do its best work, which is to help others. So Park Capital Partners funds the foundation. Then number 2, we give personally. Number 3, we give corporately. And then finally, when investors invest with us, we make a donation to honor that investor to a pre-selected list of 15 different charities that investors can feel good about. Not only they want to make returns, but at the same point in time, why not feel good about it by helping somebody else? So thank you again, gentlemen, for being on today. I'd like to also just remind everybody that the road less traveled may be calling you. We recommend that you listen and take action. Thanks for joining.